leading to the deaths of all 5 passengers on board.
Let's bring in retired Naval Officer Dr. William Parker in Boston. Doctor, thank you so much for your time. We understand you knew a couple of those on board, so our condolences to you. Have you been able to wrap your head about how it all unfolded for them underwater?
Well, as terrible as this is, and you, Stockton and Paul, the reality is that it looks like they did pass quite quickly if you have an implosion like that. So if there was any good news, it is that they probably didn't suffer very long. But of course, very sad. And it brings up some potential improvements that we need to make in the future as we work with these types of vessels.
Well, this is the thing. I guess there are a few questions about whether it should have gone down in the first place. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think we can always second guess after the fact is over. But the reality is these are test craft. And when you have experimental or test craft as opposed to business tourist vehicles, they don't have the same rigor for safety requirements because they are tests. So I think we need to look very carefully at who we allow on them beyond the scientists and those people that are supposed to be testing the vehicle. And then also ensure that we have the right equipment nearby in case we have one of these go down in the future. I don't know if that would have saved these particular individuals or not. We haven't gotten those details yet, but it does look like they were perhaps lost in the descent.
We don't know very much about exactly what happened, but the authorities did manage to find the debris. Tell us about those circumstances.
They did find a debris. They found it relatively close to Titanic, as we know. When Titanic went down, it basically tipped over. It was doing about 40 miles per hour when it impacted the bottom. And so when you're talking about 2 miles down, which is what this was, just over 2 miles down, it's an incredible amount of pressure, 3 atmospheres for every 100 feet. So at some point you probably had a catastrophic failure and the craft imploded. And that's why you're seeing multiple pieces in a pretty large debris field for a small craft of about 20,000 pounds, about 22 feet long.
It's horrific.
One of the big questions off the back of this now, Doctor, is retrieval of bodies and, of course, the wreckage too. Is it feasible?
It is feasible to get an ROV down there. We've had ROVs down there before, of course. So retrieving the parts of the equipment, retrieving any body parts is, of course, possible. The question is, how much did the implosion impact those types of items?
I guess we're all still sort of speculating. I mean, there can be some pretty informed estimations about what actually happened, but do you think we will get to the bottom of exactly what went wrong and really for what goes in the future and what this means for deep sea exploration going forward?
I do think we will get to that. I think organizations like the National Traffic Safety Board, Transportation Safety Board, the Navy, Coast Guard, others will take a good hard look at this and look at the policies that are currently in place and make corrections where they need to. So I do think that will happen. And I think it's not just a U.S. issue, it's an international issue, and we're going to have to look at that carefully. So they will retrieve these parts. They will do the studies on it, bring it up, and then we'll become more efficient, more effective in the future to hopefully prevent this in happening again.